Tom Bradley sat at his kitchen table, staring at a stack of bills he'd been avoiding for 3 days. The numbers blurred together as exhaustion pulled at his eyes. It was past 8 in the evening, and he still hadn't figured out what to make for dinner. His 12-year-old daughter Rachel was upstairs doing homework, probably hungry and too polite to complain. Life as a single dad wasn't something Tom had ever imagined for himself. 3 years ago, he'd had a partner, a plan, and a future that made sense. Then cancer came and took his wife Linda in less than a year. Now it was just him and Rachel, trying to figure out how to be a family when half of them was missing. Tom taught history at the local high school, the same school Rachel attended. It was convenient, but also meant they could never really escape each other's worlds. He knew when she struggled in math class. She knew when he had a bad day with rowdy students. They were surviving, but barely. Most days felt like treading water, staying afloat but never really swimming anywhere. The November rain hammered against the windows. Tom had just decided on scrambled eggs for dinner when he heard it. A knock at the front door. Not a confident knock from a neighbor or a delivery person. This was hesitant, almost scared. Tom pushed back from the table and walked to the door, wondering who would be out in this weather. When he opened it, his confusion only grew. 2 kids stood on his porch, soaking wet. They couldn't have been more than 8 or 9 years old. A boy and a girl, clearly twins with the same dark eyes and the same frightened expression. They clutched a single backpack between them, and water dripped from their clothes onto his welcome mat. "Mr. Bradley?" the boy said, his voice shaking from either cold or fear or both. Tom blinked. "Yes, can I help you?" The girl spoke up, her words tumbling out fast. "We're sorry to bother you. We know it's late, but we don't know what else to do." "Slow down," Tom said, trying to process what he was seeing. "Are you two okay? Where are your parents?" The boy looked at his sister, then back at Tom. "I'm Danny. This is my sister Maya. You were my teacher last year, remember? You helped me with my reading project about the Civil War." Tom did remember vaguely. The kid had been in his 4th period class. Quiet, always prepared, never caused trouble. But what were these kids doing at his house in the rain? "Danny, Maya, you need to tell me what's going on," Tom said, his teacher instincts kicking in. Maya's eyes filled with tears. "Our caseworker dropped us at a foster home tonight, but nobody was there. The address was wrong or something. We waited for an hour, but Mrs. Patterson didn't come back. Her phone went straight to voicemail. We didn't know where to go," Danny added. "I remembered where you lived because my mom dropped me off here once last year for that study group you organized. We walked here. It took a long time," Tom's mind raced. Caseworker, foster home. These kids were in the system, and they'd walked through the rain to his house because they had nowhere else to go. "Come inside," he said, stepping back. "You're both freezing." The twins hesitated at the threshold as if waiting for permission to actually enter. Tom gestured them in and they shuffled inside, leaving puddles on his floor. "Rachel," Tom called up the stairs. "Can you come down here, please?" His daughter appeared at the top of the stairs, her eyes widening when she saw the 2 wet kids in their hallway. "Dad, can you grab some towels from the bathroom? And maybe find some of your old clothes that might fit these 2? Rachel nodded and disappeared. Tom led Danny and Maya to the living room, where they sat on the edge of the couch like they might bolt at any second. "Okay," Tom said, kneeling in front of them. "Start from the beginning." Danny took a breath. "Our mom died 6 months ago. Car accident. We don't have any other family who can take us, so we went into foster care. We've been at 3 different places since then. They keep moving us," Maya whispered. "Sometimes together, sometimes apart." Tom felt something twist in his chest. "And tonight? Mrs. Patterson said she found a new placement for us. She drove us there, but the house was dark. No one answered the door. She said she'd go check the office for the right address, but she never came back. We waited and waited, but it got dark and we were scared." Rachel returned with towels and a pile of clothes. She handed them to Maya with a shy smile. "The bathroom's just down that hall if you want to change." The twins looked at Tom for approval. He nodded and they scurried off together, taking the backpack with them. "Dad, what's going on?" Rachel asked quietly. "I'm not entirely sure yet," Tom admitted, "but we need to help them figure this out." He pulled out his phone and searched for emergency social services. The automated system told him that non-emergency calls would be returned the next business day. He tried another number and got the same message. It was Friday night, past 8. Nobody was answering. The twins emerged in Rachel's old sweatpants and oversized t-shirts, looking slightly less miserable but still terrified. Tom made hot chocolate and scrambled eggs, and all four of them sat at the kitchen table in awkward silence. "Have you eaten today?" Tom asked. Maya shook her head. They attacked the eggs like they hadn't seen food in days. Rachel watched them with wide eyes. Tom could see the wheels turning in her head. His daughter had been lonely for a long time, he realized. She'd lost her mother, yes, but she'd also lost the life they'd had before. The house was always too quiet now. After dinner, Tom tried calling the caseworker directly. The phone rang and rang, then went to voicemail. He left a message explaining the situation and asking for a call back as soon as possible. "So what happens now?" Danny asked, his voice small. Tom rubbed his face. This was way outside his comfort zone. He was a history teacher, not a social worker. He barely kept his own life together, but he looked at these two kids exhausted and scared and knew he couldn't put them back out in the rain. "You'll stay here tonight," he said. "We'll get this sorted out in the morning." Relief flooded both their faces, but it was cautious relief, like they'd learned not to trust good things. Rachel spoke up. "They can sleep in the guest room. I'll help them get set up." As Rachel led the twins upstairs, chattering about where everything was, Tom stood alone in his kitchen. The bills still sat on the table. The rain still pounded the windows. But something had shifted in his house, some quality of the air or the silence. He'd meant to offer one night of shelter. A simple good deed, a basic human kindness to two kids who'd been dealt a terrible hand. He had no idea that this one night would crack open his carefully controlled life. That by morning nothing would ever be the same. Tom turned off the kitchen light and headed upstairs, already dreading the phone calls he'd need to make tomorrow. He didn't know yet that he wouldn't make those calls. He didn't know that the twins sleeping in his guest room would become the answer to a question he hadn't known he was asking. All he knew was that his quiet, sad house suddenly had voices in it again. And for the first time in 3 years, that didn't feel like an intrusion. It felt like possibility. Tom woke up at 6 in the morning, which was normal for him. What wasn't normal was the sound of crying coming from down the hall. He sat up in bed, his heart racing. For a second, he'd forgotten about the twins. Then it all came rushing back. The knock on the door, the rain, two scared kids with nowhere to go. He pulled on his robe and walked quietly to the guest room. The door was slightly open and he could see inside. Maya was curled up on the bed, crying softly into the pillow. Danny sat next to her, rubbing her back and whispering something Tom couldn't hear. Tom knocked gently. "Everything okay in here?" Both kids jumped. Danny quickly wiped his eyes, though Tom could tell he'd been crying too. "We're fine," Danny said automatically. "Sorry we woke you up." Tom stepped into the room. "You didn't wake me. I'm always up early." He sat on the edge of the bed, keeping some distance. "What's wrong, Maya?" The little girl sat up, her face blotchy and wet. "I had a bad dream." "About what?" She looked at her brother, then back at Tom. "That they came to take us away. That they split us up again." Tom's chest tightened. "Has that happened before?" Danny nodded. "At the second place we stayed, they said they could only keep one of us. Maya went to a different house for 2 weeks. It was the worst 2 weeks of our lives. We're all we have left," Maya whispered. "If we get separated, we don't have anybody." Tom didn't know what to say. He wasn't good at this kind of thing. Linda had been the one who knew how to comfort people, who knew the right words. He was just a history teacher who could barely manage his own daughter's problems. "Listen," he finally said. "I'm going to call your caseworker first thing this morning. We'll figure this out together, okay? But right now you're both here. You're both safe and nobody's taking anybody anywhere." Maya nodded, but she didn't look convinced. These kids had learned not to trust promises. "Come on," Tom said, standing up. "Let's make breakfast." "I make pretty good pancakes." "Really?" Maya's eyes lit up just a little. "Really? Rachel always says they're the one thing I can cook without burning." In the kitchen, Tom pulled out the pancake mix while the twins sat at the table. Rachel stumbled in a few minutes later, still in her pajamas, her hair a mess. "Morning," she mumbled, then saw Danny and Maya. Her whole face changed. "Oh, you're still here. Where else would they be?" Tom asked, pouring batter onto the griddle. "I don't know. I thought maybe. I don't know." Rachel slid into a chair across from the twins. "Did you guys sleep okay?" "It was nice," Danny said quietly. "The bed was really comfortable. And nobody was yelling," Maya added. Rachel and Tom exchanged a look. Nobody was yelling. What kind of places had these kids been staying? Tom served up pancakes, and for a few minutes everyone just ate. Rachel started talking about her favorite movies, and soon she had Maya laughing at a story about a disastrous camping trip they'd taken 2 summers ago. Danny listened quietly, occasionally smiling, but Tom noticed he barely touched his food. Then it happened. Maya reached for the orange juice and knocked it over. The glass toppled and juice spread across the table, dripping onto the floor. The reaction was instant. Both twins froze. Maya's face went white. Danny grabbed napkins and started frantically wiping, his hands shaking. "I'm so sorry," Maya said, her voice rising in panic. "I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. Please don't be mad. I'll clean it up. I promise I'll be more careful." "It was an accident," Danny said quickly. "She didn't do it on purpose, please." Tom stood there stunned. Rachel had knocked over drinks 100 times. He'd knocked over drinks. It was just something that happened. But these kids were terrified. "Hey," Tom said gently, kneeling down next to Maya. "It's okay. It's just juice." "But I made a mess," Maya whispered, tears starting again, "and we'll clean it up." "No big deal." Tom grabbed more napkins and started wiping the table. "Accidents happen to everyone. Last week I spilled an entire cup of coffee on my laptop. Now that was a mess." "You're not mad?" Danny asked, still holding napkins in his tight fists. "Why would I be mad? It's orange juice, not the end of the world." The twins slowly relaxed, but Tom's heart was breaking. What had happened to these kids that made them so scared of a simple mistake? After breakfast, while the twins helped Rachel clean up, Tom finally got through to Mrs. Patterson, the caseworker. "Mr. Bradley, I am so sorry about last night," she said, sounding exhausted. "I had the wrong address, and then I got called to an emergency situation. By the time I got back, the kids were gone. I was about to call the police when I got your message." "They walked to my house in the rain," Tom said, trying to keep his voice calm. I know, it's completely unacceptable. I'm so grateful they found you." She paused. "I can come pick them up this morning. I have a placement lined up." Tom looked through the doorway at the 3 kids. Rachel was showing the twins her collection of rocks from different states. All 3 of them were laughing at something. "What kind of placement?" he asked. "A foster home about 40 minutes from here. Nice couple, very experienced." "Will they keep both twins together?" Another pause. "Well, that's the thing. They can only take Maya right now. But I have a spot for Danny opening up next week at another home. So you're going to separate them." "It's temporary, just a week or so. These kids have already been separated once. They're terrified of it happening again." Mrs. Patterson sighed. "Mr. Bradley, I understand your concern. But finding placements that can take sibling groups, especially on short notice, is very difficult. This is the best I can do right now." Tom watched Maya lean against Rachel's shoulder as they looked at something on Rachel's phone. He watched Danny smile, really smile, for what might have been the first time since arriving. "What would it take?" Tom asked. "I'm sorry? What would it take for them to stay here? With me and Rachel?" There was a long silence. "Mr. Bradley, are you asking about becoming a foster parent?" "I guess I am." That's very kind. But it's not simple. There's a process. Background checks, home studies, training courses. You'd need to be certified as a foster parent, and that takes time." "How much time?" "At minimum, 4 to 6 weeks for emergency certification." "But Mr. Bradley, I have to be honest with you. You're a single father. You already have 1 child. You have no experience with foster care. The system tends to favor 2-parent households or people who've been through the training. But it's possible." "It's possible. But in the meantime, I still need to place these children today." Tom thought about Linda. She'd always wanted more kids. They'd talked about fostering or adopting someday when Rachel was older, when life was more settled. That someday had died with her. "Give me the weekend," Tom said. "What?" "You said this couple can take Maya on Monday, right? And Danny's placement opens up next week. So give me the weekend. Let the kids stay here. It's already Saturday morning. Monday is just 2 days away. I'll start the paperwork for certification, and if it doesn't work out, you can move them then." Mrs. Patterson was quiet for a long moment. "Mr. Bradley, I really shouldn't. They're safe here. They're fed. They're warm. Rachel's happy for the first time in 3 years. And those 2 kids are terrified of being split up again." Tom's voice cracked. "Just give me the weekend to figure this out." 48 hours, Mrs. Patterson finally said. "I'll email you the information you need to start the application. But Mr. Bradley, you need to understand what you're getting into. This isn't just taking in two sweet kids for a few days. Foster care is complicated. These children have trauma. They'll have court dates, therapy appointments, behavioral issues, and there's no guarantee you'll be approved. I understand. Do you? Because I see this sometimes. Good people with big hearts who want to help. Then reality hits and they realize they can't handle it. And the kids are the ones who get hurt. Tom looked at the three children in his living room. I lost my wife 3 years ago. My daughter barely smiles anymore. This house has been like a tomb. Then last night 2 kids showed up on my doorstep and suddenly there's life here again. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I have no idea what I'm doing. But I have to try, Mrs. Patterson sighed. 48 hours. I'll send the paperwork. But start preparing yourself for this to be temporary, Mr. Bradley. For your sake and especially for theirs. After he hung up, Tom stood in the kitchen for a long moment. What had he just done? He could barely take care of himself and Rachel. How could he possibly take care of 2 more kids? Then he heard Rachel laugh. Really laugh. The sound filled the house like sunlight. Tom walked into the living room. So, he said, who wants to help me figure out what we're having for lunch? 3 faces turned to him, all wearing the same surprised expression. We get to stay? Danny asked carefully. For the weekend, at least. After that, we'll see. Maya's face crumpled and she started crying again. But this time they were different tears. Thank you, she whispered. Rachel jumped up and hugged Tom tight. Really, Dad, really? Tom hugged her back, looking at the twins over her shoulder. They were watching him like he'd just promised them the world. Maybe he had, and maybe, just maybe, he could figure out how to deliver it. The weekend passed faster than Tom thought possible. Saturday afternoon, Rachel dragged the twins up to her room and came back down an hour later, announcing they were putting on a talent show. Tom sat on the couch and watched Danny perform magic tricks with a deck of cards, while Maya sang a song their mother used to sing to them. Rachel did a dramatic reading of a poem she'd written for English class. Tom clapped until his hands hurt. He couldn't remember the last time his house had felt like this, alive, full of noise and laughter and the kind of chaos that actually felt good. That night, they made pizza together. Well, Tom burned the first one and they ordered a replacement, but the kids thought it was hilarious. They stayed up late watching movies. All 4 of them squeezed onto the couch with blankets and popcorn. When Tom finally sent everyone to bed, he found himself standing in the hallway, listening to the sounds of his full house. Rachel's voice drifted from the guest room where she was telling the twins a bedtime story. Their soft laughter floated through the door. This is what Linda wanted, he thought. This is what our family was supposed to feel like. Sunday morning, Tom's older sister Beverly showed up unannounced. She took one look at the 3 kids eating cereal at the kitchen table and pulled Tom into the hallway. What's going on? She demanded. Rachel called me last night and said you're fostering kids now. It's complicated, Tom said. Uncomplicated for me. Tom explained the whole situation. The knock on the door. The caseworker. The decision he'd made. Beverly listened with her arms crossed, her expression getting more worried with every sentence. Tommy, she said when he finished. She only called him Tommy when she was really concerned. Are you sure about this? No, I'm not sure about anything. You're barely holding it together as it is. You still have Linda's things in boxes in the garage. You eat cereal for dinner half the time. And now you want to take on 2 more kids? I don't want to take them on. I need to. Beverly looked through the doorway at the children. What happens when reality hits? When you realize how hard this is? Those kids have already been through enough. They don't need another person giving up on them. Her words stung because they echoed his own fears. I know the risks. But Bev, look at Rachel. Really look at her. Beverly turned. Rachel was showing Danny and Maya photos on her phone. All 3 of them huddled together, giggling at something. Rachel's face was bright in a way it hadn't been since the funeral. She's been sleepwalking through life for 3 years, Tom said quietly. We both have. Then these 2 kids show up and suddenly she's awake again. We're both awake. Beverly's expression softened. And if you're not approved? If they take the twins away? Then at least I tried. At least I didn't just let life keep happening to me. His sister studied him for a long moment, then sighed. Okay, what do you need? Everything. I have no idea what I'm doing. Beverly rolled up her sleeves. Then let's figure it out. She spent the rest of the day helping Tom navigate the foster care application. The paperwork was overwhelming. Background checks, financial statements, references, medical records. Tom had to detail every aspect of his life, explain his parenting philosophy, describe his support system. "They want to know about my childhood," Tom said, staring at one form. "What does that have to do with anything?" "They need to make sure you're stable," Beverly explained, "that you can provide a safe home. My home is safe, then prove it on paper." While they worked, the kids played in the backyard. Tom looked out the window and saw them running around, their laughter carrying through the glass. Danny was teaching Rachel some kind of card game. Maya was making a flower crown from dandelions. "They fit here," Tom said. "I can see that," Beverly admitted. "But you need to be realistic about what's ahead. These kids have been through trauma. Their mother died. They've been moved around, probably mistreated based on that orange juice reaction you told me about. They're going to have bad days. They're going to have nightmares and meltdowns and moments when you question everything." "I know." "Do you? Because parenting damaged kids isn't like parenting Rachel. It's a different beast entirely." Tom turned from the window. "Linda and I used to talk about fostering someday. She always said we had room in our hearts and our home. I thought that dream died with her. But maybe this is how it was supposed to happen. Maybe she sent them to us." Beverly's eyes got misty. "Linda would have loved this. She really would have." She squeezed his shoulder. "Okay, I'm in. Whatever you need, I'm here. But promise me something." "What?" "Promise me you won't lose yourself in this. You matter too. Your well-being matters. Don't pour everything into these kids and forget to take care of yourself. I promise." That evening, after Beverly left, Tom sat down with Rachel. Just the two of them on the porch while the twins watched TV inside. "I need to ask you something serious," Tom said, "and I need you to be completely honest with me." Rachel looked nervous. "Okay. How do you really feel about Danny and Maya staying? Not just for the weekend, but potentially for a long time. Maybe forever." His daughter was quiet for a moment. "Do you remember what you told me after Mom died? You said that our family would never be the same, but that didn't mean it couldn't still be good." Tom nodded. He barely remembered saying that. "Those first months were such a blur. I didn't believe you then," Rachel continued. "I thought good was over for us, that we'd just be sad forever." She looked at him with tears in her eyes. "But this weekend I felt happy. Really happy. Not the fake happy I've been pretending. Actually happy." "Me too," Tom admitted. "Maya asked me today what it was like having a mom. She can barely remember hers. And I realized that even though I miss Mom every single day, at least I have memories. At least I had 12 years with her. They only had 8 years with their mom, and now they have nobody. They have each other. That's not enough, Dad. They need a family. A real family. A home." Rachel wiped her eyes. "And we need them too. I know that sounds selfish, but it's true. This house has been so empty and quiet and sad. Now it's full again. It feels like a home again." Tom pulled her into a hug. "You're pretty wise for 12, you know that? Mom always said I got that from you." They sat together in the growing darkness, listening to the sounds of the twins laughing at something on TV. "There's no guarantee they'll let me keep them," Tom said. "The caseworker said it's complicated. And even if I'm approved as a foster parent, the goal is usually reunification with family or adoption by someone else. But there's a chance? There's a chance. Then we have to try." Monday morning came too quickly. Tom had barely slept, dreading the call from Mrs. Patterson. The twins were quiet at breakfast, pushing their food around their plates. They'd packed their small backpack the night before, preparing for the inevitable. When Tom's phone rang at 9, everyone froze. "Hello? Mr. Bradley, it's Mrs. Patterson. I've reviewed your application. You've completed all the initial paperwork, which is impressive for 48 hours. Thank you. I had help. I can see that your sister provided a reference. Your principal also responded to my email already, which almost never happens." She paused. "Mr. Bradley, I'm going to be straight with you. Your application is strong. You have stable employment, a good home, no red flags in your background. But the process still takes time." Tom's heart sank. "So you're taking them today?" "That was my plan. But I made some calls this morning. I spoke with my supervisor. Given the circumstances, given that the twins are clearly comfortable with you and your daughter, we're willing to do something unusual." "What's that?" "We're going to place them with you as an emergency foster placement while your full certification is processed. You'll need to complete training courses over the next 6 weeks. You'll have home visits, evaluations, and you'll need to attend court hearings. This is not a guarantee of long-term placement, you understand. The state's goal is always family reunification or finding permanent adoptive homes. Tom's hand shook. But they can stay? They can stay. Temporarily. We'll reassess in 6 weeks after your training is complete. Tom looked at the twins sitting at his table, their faces full of hope and fear. We'll take it. Whatever it takes, we'll do it. After he hung up, 3 pairs of eyes stared at him. Well? Rachel asked. Pack up your backpack, Tom told the twins. Their faces fell. Maya's lips started trembling. Pack it up, Tom continued, because you're going to need more clothes than what you have. We're going shopping this afternoon. You're staying. For a moment, nobody moved. Then Maya burst into tears and ran to hug him. Danny followed and Rachel piled on, and suddenly Tom was in the middle of a group hug with 3 kids who desperately needed what he desperately needed to give. He thought about Linda, about the family they'd planned, about the dreams that had been buried with her. Maybe dreams didn't die. Maybe they just waited for the right moment to come back to life in a different form. Okay, Tom said, laughing through his own tears. We have a lot to figure out. But first, how about some actual breakfast? I think we can do better than cold cereal. Can we have pancakes again? Maya asked. Pancakes it is. As Tom made breakfast with 3 kids crowding his kitchen, getting in the way and stealing chocolate chips and filling his house with noise, he realized something. This wasn't going to be easy. There would be hard days ahead, challenges he couldn't imagine yet, moments when he'd question everything. But for the first time since Linda died, he wasn't just surviving. He was living. And that made all the difference. The first week wasn't as magical as the weekend had been. Tuesday morning, Danny had a complete meltdown over wearing shoes. Not just any shoes, but the specific pair he'd been wearing when his mother died. He sat on the floor screaming that he couldn't wear them, but he also couldn't not wear them. And nothing Tom said made any difference. Tom stood there feeling completely helpless while Rachel tried to calm Danny down, and Maya cried in the corner because her brother was upset. They were all late for school. Tom's first period class had to watch a substitute fumble through his lesson plan. Wednesday night, Maya woke up screaming from a nightmare. Tom rushed to her room and found her sobbing, calling for her mother. He held her while she cried, but nothing he said comforted her. She kept saying, I want my mom, I want my mom, over and over until Tom's heart felt like it was breaking. I know, sweetie, was all he could say. I know. Thursday, the school counselor called. Danny had gotten into a fight with another kid who'd made a comment about him living in a foster home. The other boy had a bloody nose. Danny was suspended for 3 days. Tom picked him up from the principal's office. Danny wouldn't look at him, wouldn't talk, just stared out the car window with his arms crossed. Want to tell me what happened? Tom asked. Silence. Danny, I can't help if you don't talk to me. You're not my dad, Danny said quietly. You don't have to help me. You're just the place they put me until they find somewhere else. The words hit Tom like a punch. Is that what you think? It's what always happens. Tom pulled the car over and turned to face Danny. Look at me. Danny reluctantly met his eyes. I chose to have you here. Mrs. Patterson gave me an out. She said I could back out any time in these first 6 weeks, but I'm not going to. You and Maya are part of this family now, until you get tired of us. That's not going to happen. You don't know that. Everyone gets tired of us eventually. Tom didn't have an answer for that. How do you convince a kid who's been abandoned over and over that this time is different? Words weren't enough. He'd have to prove it through time and consistency. And that was terrifying because what if Danny was right? What if Tom did get overwhelmed and give up? That night, Tom called Beverly in tears. I don't know if I can do this. What happened? He told her about the week. The meltdowns, the nightmares, the fight, the walls Danny was building. Of course you're struggling, Beverly said. It's been 1 week. Did you think it would be easy? No, but I didn't think it would be this hard. I feel like I'm failing them. You're not failing. You're learning. There's a difference. She paused. Have you taken them to see a therapist yet? Mrs. Patterson gave me names, but I haven't called. Call tomorrow. These kids need professional help, Tom. You can't fix trauma with love alone. But love helps, right? Love helps. But so does therapy, structure, and not trying to be a hero. You're allowed to ask for help. Friday afternoon, Tom attended his first foster parent training class. The room was full of couples, most of them younger than him, all of them looking eager and nervous. He was the only single parent there. The instructor, a woman named Patricia who'd been a foster parent for 15 years, didn't sugarcoat anything. She talked about attachment disorders, developmental trauma, behavioral problems, and the reality that most foster placements don't end in adoption. These children will test you, she said. They'll push every boundary, break every rule, and see if you'll give up on them like everyone else has. It's not because they're bad kids, it's because they're scared kids. They need to know if you're safe before they can trust you. Tom thought about Danny saying, "You're not my dad." That was a test. Danny was pushing him away before Tom could leave first. During the break, a younger couple approached him. "Is this your first placement?" The woman asked. "Yeah, twin 8-year-olds. I've had them for a week. How's it going?" Tom laughed. "It's the hardest thing I've ever done, and I've been through some hard things. We've had our daughter for 3 months, the man said. First month, she tried to run away twice. Set a small fire in the kitchen. Told the social worker we were abusing her. And now?" The woman smiled. "Last week she called me Mom for the first time. Accidentally, and she got embarrassed and took it back, but still. It happened. So it gets better? It gets different," the man said. "Some days are better. Some days are worse. But if you stick it out, if you show up consistently, even when it's hard, they start to believe you're not going anywhere." That evening, Tom came home to find Maya setting the table without being asked. She'd made place cards with everyone's names decorated with flowers she'd drawn. "What's all this?" Tom asked. "I wanted to do something nice," Maya said shyly. "Because you're being so nice to us." Rachel was helping Danny with homework at the kitchen table. They were laughing about something, Danny's earlier anger seemingly forgotten. These were the moments, Tom realized. Between the meltdowns and the struggles, there were these small, perfect moments that made everything worth it. The second week was different from the first. Tom set up therapy appointments for both twins. Danny would see someone Tuesdays and Thursdays. Maya would go Wednesdays. Tom also scheduled family therapy for all 4 of them on Monday evenings. The therapist, Dr. Chen, was patient and kind. In their first session, she had them all draw pictures of what home meant to them. Danny drew a house with 4 stick figures. Maya drew a tree with birds in it. Rachel drew their actual house. Tom drew a dinner table with food on it. "Tell me about your picture, Tom," Dr. Chen said. "When Linda was alive, dinner was when we were all together. No phones, no TV, just family. I want that for all of us now. And do you have that?" "We're working on it," Dr. Chen smiled. "Working on it is perfect. That's all any family can do." The home visits started in week 3. A social worker named Kevin came to inspect the house, interview everyone separately, and make sure the kids were being cared for properly. He talked to Rachel first. Tom waited anxiously in the kitchen, wondering what his daughter was saying. Then Kevin spoke with each twin privately. Finally, he sat down with Tom. "Your home is appropriate," Kevin said, checking boxes on a form. "The children appear healthy and well cared for." Rachel speaks highly of the arrangement. "And the twins?" Kevin looked up. "Danny told me you're the first adult who hasn't yelled at him in 6 months. Maya said she feels safe here." He set down his pen. "Mr. Bradley, I've been doing this job for 12 years. I can usually tell within 5 minutes if a placement is working. This one is working." Tom felt tears prick his eyes. "Really? Really? But I have to be honest with you about something." Kevin's expression grew serious. The twins' maternal grandmother has surfaced. Tom's stomach dropped. "What, she lives in Arizona?" She didn't know about their mother's death until recently. She's expressed interest in taking them. But they've been in the system for 7 months. Where was she? Estranged from their mother. They hadn't spoken in years. But she's family, and family has priority in these cases. What does that mean for me? For us? It means there will be a hearing. The grandmother will be evaluated. If she's found suitable, the state will likely place the children with her. They're happy here. They're finally settling in, I know. And I'll note that in my report. But you need to prepare yourself and the children for the possibility that this placement is temporary. After Kevin left, Tom sat alone in his living room. He could hear the kids upstairs, Rachel teaching the twins some kind of dance routine, their footsteps thumping, their laughter ringing through the ceiling. How was he supposed to tell them? How was he supposed to prepare them to lose another home? He thought about the training class, about what Patricia had said. These children will test you to see if you'll give up on them, but this wasn't about giving up. This was about a grandmother who had a legal right to her grandchildren. How could Tom compete with that? Beverly came over that night after the kids were in bed. Tom told her everything. So fight for them, she said simply. Fight? Against their grandmother? I've known them for 3 weeks. And she's known about them for 3 weeks too. You've been showing up. You've been doing the work. You've been learning how to help them heal. But she's blood family. Family isn't just about blood, Tommy. You know that better than anyone. Beverly grabbed his hands. Linda wasn't Rachel's biological mother, remember? You adopted Rachel together when she was 3. That didn't make Linda any less her mother. Tom had almost forgotten. Rachel's biological mother had left when she was a baby. Linda had been the only mother Rachel ever really knew. What are you saying? I'm saying don't give up before the fight even starts. Get a lawyer. Make your case. Show them that these kids belong here. What if I lose? What if you win? Tom looked at the photos on his mantle. Linda's picture sat next to a new one from last weekend. All 4 of them at the park covered in ice cream and sunshine. She'd want me to fight, wouldn't she? Beverly smiled. Linda would want you to love those kids like they're your own. And you already do. The next morning, Tom called a family lawyer. Then he sat down with all 3 kids at breakfast. I need to tell you something, he said, and I need you to listen carefully. 3 worried faces looked at him. There might be some changes coming. Your grandmother wants to meet you. The court will decide if you should go live with her. Maya started crying immediately. Danny's face went blank, that wall coming up again. But I want to stay here, Maya said. I know, sweetheart. Are you sending us away? Danny asked flatly. No, I'm fighting to keep you. But I can't promise anything. Rachel spoke up. We're all fighting. This is our family now. We're not giving up without a fight. Tom looked at his daughter, so fierce and sure, and felt pride swell in his chest. That's right, he said. We're a family, and families fight for each other. Danny's wall cracked just a little. You really want us to stay? More than anything. Even though we're hard? Even though I got suspended and Maya has nightmares and we break stuff and cry? Tom pulled both twins into a hug. Especially because of all that. You're not a burden. You're my kids, both of you. It was the first time he'd said it out loud. My kids. And as he held them, Tom knew that no matter what happened, no matter what the court decided, he'd already made his choice. He was all in. The grandmother's name was Gloria Martinez, and she arrived for her first visit on a cold February afternoon. Tom had spent the entire morning cleaning the house and trying to calm his nerves. The twins were terrified. Maya had thrown up at breakfast. Danny hadn't said a word since waking up. What if she takes us away? Maya whispered as they waited in the living room. Then we'll visit you all the time, Rachel said, holding Maya's hand. We'll write letters and call every day. That's not the same, Danny said quietly. Tom wanted to promise them everything would be okay, but he couldn't. He'd learned in therapy not to make promises he couldn't keep. When the doorbell rang, everyone jumped. Gloria Martinez was a small woman in her early 60s with the same dark eyes as the twins. Mrs. Patterson stood beside her, along with Kevin, the social worker. Hello? Gloria said softly. She looked at Danny and Maya like she was seeing ghosts. You both look so much like your mother. The twins didn't move. Maya hid behind Tom's leg. Why don't we all sit down? Mrs. Patterson suggested. The next hour was awkward and painful. Gloria explained that she'd been estranged from her daughter for 8 years after a family argument. She'd tried to reconnect several times, but her daughter had refused. She only learned about the accident when a distant cousin mentioned it in passing. I should have tried harder, Gloria said, wiping her eyes. I should have found a way to fix things. Now my daughter is gone, and I missed 8 years with my grandchildren. Tom felt sympathy for her despite everything. She'd lost her daughter. She'd missed years she could never get back. Danny, Maya, Gloria said gently. I know you don't remember me. You were babies the last time I saw you. But I'm your grandmother. Your mother was my little girl. And I want the chance to know you, to be part of your lives. Danny looked at Tom, then back at his grandmother. Do we have to go with you? That's not decided yet, Mrs. Patterson said quickly. That's what the court hearing is for. Gloria reached into her purse and pulled out a photo album. I brought pictures of your mother when she was young. Would you like to see? Slowly, cautiously, the twins moved to the couch beside her. Tom watched as Gloria showed them photos of their mother as a child, told them stories about her childhood, shared memories the twins had never heard. Maya laughed at a story about their mother getting stuck in a tree. Danny stared at a photo of his mother on her first day of school. She looks like Maya, Danny said quietly. She does, Gloria agreed. And you have her smile. Tom felt his heart crack. This woman loved her daughter. She loved these children. She wasn't a villain. She was just someone else who'd lost too much and was trying to find a way back. After Gloria left, the twins were confused and quiet. That night, Maya crawled into Tom's bed for the first time. I'm scared, she whispered. I know. She seems nice. But I don't know her. I know you. Tom held her close. Whatever happens, you're going to be okay. Both of you. Promise? He couldn't promise. So instead he said, I promise I'll do everything I can to make sure you're okay. The next few weeks were a blur of court dates and evaluations. Gloria visited twice a week. Sometimes the visits went well. Sometimes the twins came home quiet and withdrawn. They were being pulled in two directions, and Tom could see it tearing them apart. His lawyer, a woman named Patricia who specialized in family law, was straightforward. She's blood family with a stable home and income. Unless we can prove she's unfit, which we can't, the court usually sides with biological relatives. So we're going to lose? I didn't say that. The twins have been with you for 2 months now. They're thriving. Their therapist will testify to their progress. Your home study is excellent. Rachel's testimony about how the family has bonded will be powerful. We have a case. It's just not a guaranteed win. The court hearing was scheduled for March 15th. Tom marked it on his calendar and tried not to count down the days. In early March, something shifted. Danny started calling Tom Dad by accident, then correcting himself, then eventually just letting it be. Maya made a Mother's Day card at school even though Mother's Day was months away. She gave it to Beverly, saying, "For being like a mom to us." Rachel came home from school one day with a black eye. She'd gotten into a fight with a girl who said foster kids didn't count as real siblings. "They're my real brother and sister," Rachel had told the girl before punching her. Tom had to pick her up from the principal's office for the second time that year. He should have been angry, but instead he felt proud. His daughter was fighting for her family. The night before the hearing, Tom couldn't sleep. He found Danny in the hallway at 3 a.m. "Can't sleep either?" Tom asked. Danny shook his head. "I'm scared about tomorrow." They went downstairs and sat at the kitchen table, the same table where this had all started months ago. "Whatever the judge decides," Tom said, "I want you to know something. You and Maya changed my life. You brought this family back to life." Rachel smiles now. I smile now. This house is a home again because of you two. But what if we have to leave? Then I'll visit. I'll call, I'll write. And when you're older, if you want to come back, our door will always be open. Danny was quiet for a long moment. "Grandma Gloria is nice. She tells good stories about our mom. But she's trying to get to know us. You already know us. You know that I hate mushrooms and that I bite my nails when I'm nervous. You know that Maya needs her butterfly nightlight and that she sings when she's happy. You showed up for us when nobody else did. Your grandmother wants to show up now. I know, and maybe that's good. But you're already here. You're already our dad." Danny looked up with tears in his eyes. "I want to stay here. I want you to adopt us for real." Tom pulled Danny into a hug and let himself cry. "I want that too. More than anything." The courtroom was smaller than Tom expected. Judge Henderson was a stern-looking woman in her 50s who'd apparently been a foster child herself. Gloria sat with her lawyer on one side. Tom sat with Patricia and all 3 kids on the other. Mrs. Patterson and Kevin sat in the middle, ready to testify. The hearing took 4 hours. Gloria's lawyer talked about blood family and cultural heritage and the importance of keeping children with their relatives. Patricia talked about stability and attachment and the trauma of moving children who'd finally found security. The therapist, Dr. Chen, testified about the twins' progress. When they first came to Tom's home, both children showed signs of severe anxiety and attachment disorders. In 3 months, I've seen remarkable improvement. They're sleeping better, eating better, trusting more. Danny's anger issues have decreased significantly. Maya's nightmares are less frequent. This is directly related to the stable, loving home Tom has provided. Gloria's lawyer asked, but couldn't they make the same progress with their grandmother? Possibly, Dr. Chen admitted. But moving them again would reset much of that progress. These children have already lost their mother and been moved multiple times. Another move, especially away from the only stability they've found, could cause serious psychological harm. Then Rachel testified she was nervous but strong. They're not just foster kids to me, she said. They're my brother and sister. Maya helps me with my art projects. Danny teaches me card tricks. We're a family, a real family. And families shouldn't be broken up just because some judge says so. Rachel, the judge said gently, I understand this is emotional for you. It should be emotional, Rachel said. These are people's lives. They're my family's lives. Finally, the judge asked to speak with Danny and Maya privately in her chambers. Tom waited in the hallway, his heart pounding. Beverly held his hand. Patricia paced. Rachel prayed quietly. After 30 minutes, the judge returned with the twins. I've made my decision, Judge Henderson said. The courtroom went silent. Mrs. Martinez, I can see that you love your grandchildren and that you sincerely want to provide them a home. However, I must consider what is in the best interest of these children right now, in this moment. Tom held his breath. Danny and Maya have experienced significant trauma. They've been moved multiple times. They've finally found stability with Mr. Bradley and his daughter. Their therapist confirms they are thriving. Both children expressed to me, clearly and consistently, their desire to remain in their current placement. Gloria made a small sound. Therefore, I am denying the petition for placement with Mrs. Martinez. Danny and Maya will remain with Mr. Bradley. However, the judge looked at Gloria. I am ordering regular visitation. These children should know their grandmother. They should know their heritage and their mother's family. This doesn't have to be all or nothing. Tom felt Rachel grab his hand. He looked at the twins. Maya was crying. Danny was smiling. Mr. Bradley, the judge continued, I am approving your petition to adopt. Once the waiting period is complete and final paperwork processed, Danny and Maya Martinez will legally become your children. The courtroom erupted. Beverly was crying. Rachel was hugging the twins. Patricia was gathering her papers with a satisfied smile. Tom looked at Gloria. She was crying, but she came over and shook his hand. Take care of them, she said. Love them like she would have. I will, Tom promised. And you'll be part of their lives. I promise you that too. 6 months later, on a sunny September morning, Tom stood in the same courtroom with all 3 of his children. Judge Henderson signed the final adoption papers. Congratulations, she said, smiling for the first time. You are now legally and forever a family. That evening, they had a party. Beverly brought a cake. Gloria brought photo albums and told more stories about the twins' mother. Friends from school came. Teachers came. Mrs. Patterson came and hugged everyone. As the sun set, Tom found himself on the back porch with all 3 kids. Danny was teaching Rachel a new card trick. Maya was drawing in her sketchbook. Dad? Maya said. It still made his heart skip every time. Can we take a picture? A family picture? They gathered together, arms around each other, smiling at Beverly's camera. Tom thought about that rainy night when 2 scared kids knocked on his door. He'd thought he was just offering shelter for one night. He had no idea he was opening the door to his future. Life wasn't perfect. There were still hard days, therapy appointments, moments of grief for the mother the twins had lost and the wife Tom still missed. But there was also laughter, love, and the beautiful chaos of a full house. They weren't a perfect family, but they were a real family, and that was more than enough. "Say cheese," Beverly called. "Cheese," they all shouted together. And in that moment, with his 3 children beside him, and his heart finally whole again, Tom knew that everything had turned out exactly the way it was meant to be.